Hey, Brixel! On the back of the Mexican Grand Prix weekend, which admittedly didn't have the most exciting racing, but it did have Checo Perez's dad. Playground Games opened admission to their new Horizon Festival, where else but Mexico. And I'm 99% sure Microsoft planned this because this timing is kinda sus. Now, I have a lot of questions about Forza Horizon 5 that I want to answer in this review, but let's get the easiest one out of the way first. Should you play Forza Horizon 5? Yeah, it's on Game Pass, so let's be real. The biggest barrier to entry here is your hard drive space, and maybe the coins you dig out from in between your couch cushions. You've likely played other Forza titles, or at least have a passing awareness that the games are about expensive cars, racing, and... So, the real question I think we should be answering is, how does it hold up to the rest of the series? Now, let me take you back to my first experience with the Forza franchise. It was 2014 and I was booting up Forza Horizon 2 on my friend's shiny new Xbox One. I played through that crazy opening race scenario, saw the beautiful cars and landscape and thought to myself, yeah, this ain't it. Honestly, back then there were a few things I cared about less than cars. However, since then, I've worked on a bunch of car shows for television, I've fallen in love with motorsport, and I've even dipped my toes into some sim racing. And with this newfound love of cars, I've grown to love the Forza Horizon series. I mean, I put dozens of hours into Horizon 4, and my hype for 5 has been palpable. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, I'm going into this with a bit of a bias. I love these games, I have a lot of respect for Playground and what they're doing, and frankly, I want the series to succeed. But my experiences with this series and being on both sides of the fence demonstrates that anyone's enjoyment with the game is going to be heavily predicated on just how much of a car person you are, and how much you enjoy. That being said, if you are a car person, or just have a love of racing mechanics, nailing a perfect run, pulling off some stupid stunts in cars you can't afford to be in the same room as, or just doing, I don't know, whatever the hell this is, Forza Horizon 5 definitely deserves your attention, if not your hard drive space. So for those of you who are living under a rock, this is what the sun looks like. Yes, the world is still going to hell, and oh yeah, this is Forza Horizon. But what exactly is the series all about? Well, to answer that question, let me take you back in time to the year of our Lord 2005 AD, where in an attempt to combat PlayStation's monopoly on the hardcore side of racing with Gran Turismo, Microsoft released Forza Motorsport exclusively to the Xbox. From there, the series grew from strength to strength until in 2012 they released their first spin-off, Forza Horizon, where players were invited to a car festival in Colorado that looked suspiciously more like Coachella than Goodwood. Here players were asked to progress by winning races, doing stunts, gaining popularity, and of course unlocking cars. And honestly, the core formula of the franchise hasn't changed that much since then, but as the old adage goes, if it ain't broke, don't stick a fork in it. Now, I was pretty excited to see what Playground Games had created in Forza Horizon 4. Not so much because I thought the UK is an ideal place for a racing game, cause it isn't, but because I knew that whatever they learned in building that world, they could apply to their highly fucking anticipated Fable 4. I mean, Albion is basically England, but with trolls and fairies and...
Chicken chaser. You chase chickens.
So with that in mind, I'm not sure how much Playground are going to be able to apply the sand dunes and jungles of Mexico to a Fable game, but they better figure it out, cause look at this shit. So you start out pretty much in the center of Playground's Mexico, and you slowly work your way outward as the game gives you more missions to unlock new Horizon outposts. These outposts, they look pretty much like another EDM festival, but they serve as the regional hub for a different type of dynamic racing. Now, marketing suits love buzzwords, and in arcade racers, dynamic is the buzzword of choice. It means, who the fuck knows what it means most of the time? But in Playground's case, they've got their season system to back up their claims of dynamicity? Dynamicity. Now, I'm gonna admit it, I didn't like the season system when they introduced it in Forza Horizon 4, and I don't really care for it here either. It might be a personal preference thing, but I just don't think it's possible to build every area in the game to be fun in every season. In Horizon 4, I was always waiting for autumn, because that's when my favorite events would pop up and when I enjoy the actual racing surfaces the most. My concern is that once this game has done its full round of seasons a few times, people, myself included, will probably end up liking one season more than the others. And seeing as each season lasts 7 days, it could be up to 3 weeks before you get to play the game in your favorite season again. I will admit it, I do see the appeal in the system, which is why I say it's so subjective. And Playground does seem to have toned down how each season affects the road surfaces, but until the community gets a fair amount of time with each season, I think the jury's out on this one. More and more, I've been trying to play games with good movement mechanics. Ori and the Blind Forest, Destiny 2, it even made me download Warframe. Damn, look at that Space Ninja. And racing is movement mechanics, right? I mean, it's like all the mechanics in a racing game is movement mechanics. So yes, Forza Horizon 5 is incredibly fun to move around in. The cars all feel unique, and along with the various surface types, you're forced to drastically change your driving style depending on what you're doing. It can all be incredibly satisfying. I mean, while getting the footage for this review, there were multiple times where I got sidetracked by something completely random, like ramping my Porsche over sand dunes and trying to get high scores. And it's in mechanics like this, with the combos and the score multipliers, that the game really does show its arcadey side. I mean, you're not hitting a magically regenerating nitrous button or double tapping brake to drift, but the game is definitely not trying to be a hardcore racer. Personally, I actually think this is a really smart place to position this game, in contrast to these simulation titles like Assetto Corsa and Project Cars 3, and even Horizon's more serious older brother Forza Motorsport. This game sometimes feels like it's standing in contrast to those sim titles, and in some cases it really does shine, but in others, which we will get to, it really doesn't work very well. I mean, the cars are all quite floaty, but it's that Forza floaty. The surface changes don't feel super punishing even when they should be. It's really easy to catch a slide to the point that I think it's almost impossible to spin out, and you will often find that multiple lines going through a corner are just as viable as the racing line. So yeah, it's not Assetto Corsa, but it's not trying to be. It's an accessible petrolhead fantasy. A car-PG. And look, I don't think this is the kind of gaming experience you'd want to gatekeep behind sim racing levels of difficulty. I would never dream of playing Assetto Corsa without a wheel and pedals, because the game is so damn realistic that it's almost impossible to control anything with a thumbstick. On the other hand, I'd never dream of playing Forza Horizon 5 with my wheel and pedals, because it's just not that kind of game. The driving physics are built with the controller in mind. I mean, you can't just whip a steering wheel around as fast as you can move a thumbstick. And even though the game isn't completely realistic, this may be some of the most natural and intuitive feeling vehicle controls I've felt in any game, like, ever. Now, to go with these buttery controls, we have over 500 cars to drive. I mean, look at this. These are just the cars available at launch. There's historics and tons of classics and even more modern standouts. There's vehicles from almost every discipline of four-wheeled motorsport you could possibly imagine to the most mundane consumer production vehicles and utter meme machines. Sadly, the roster is lacking in the high downforce open-seater variety, but then again, Playground probably didn't want to stand on any toes. Alrighty, so what exactly do you do in Horizon 5? I mean, the giant open world playground and even gianter library of cars is impressive and a lot of fun, but without actual goals, it would get kind of boring, wouldn't it? So Horizon 5's got you doing a bunch of things. You're competing in multiple different racing categories. You're playing against other people in various player versus player modes. You're doing your side missions, you're helping out at the festival, and on top of all this, the game's constantly incentivizing you to explore more of its world. In this case, via barn finds, XP boards, and stunts. All of the above helps you progress in numerous careers, help you level up your character, buy and earn new cars, and of course, how could we forget, because apparently it's the fucking glue that holds games together these days, cosmetics. The game dishes out credits so you can buy and upgrade cars at a fairly respectable pace, but of course, let's not forget the other glue that holds games together these days: microtransactions. Yup, the VIP pass is back, and you know what that means. If you fork out just a little bit more, you get double credit rewards and a bunch of extra cars. This was shitty in Forza Horizon 4, and it's just as shitty here. But to be fair, as of writing the script, I haven't once felt the urge to fork out due to slow earning rates. It does seem mostly fair and balanced, but it is early days, so we can only pray they don't tweak it down the line. Looking at you, Squeenix. So let's talk about the cars a bit more. So the cars in Horizon games are broken up into performance ranks, which is necessary to keep the playing field a little even. You've got your D tier cars all the way up to your S1, your S2, and your X tier. Each is defined by its performance range, which is measured as a number, so A rank goes from 701 to 800, with the idea being that you want to balance out your car parts so that you get your number as close to 800 as possible. This will theoretically give you the most performance, but if you go just a little over and end up at 801 points, you'll then be bumped into S rank. And if you've got a car with 801 points competing against another with 900, well,
you're gonna have a bad time.
In a nutshell, find the ideal rank for your car, then build for it, trying to get as close to that max number as possible. Now, I like this upgrade system. It's in-depth and it rewards a deeper knowledge. What happens if I put all the sliders on max? But yeah, they also took morons like me into account and they added an auto upgrade button. When using the auto upgrade, it asks you what performance rank you'd like to aim for, and then it calculates what would be the best setup for it. This is a really elegant solution that keeps players without technical knowledge competitive, while still rewarding that same technical knowledge if you've got it. I personally absolutely use the upgrade system, especially when I get a new car. But when I decide to commit to a new car, I generally go and find a configuration in the community tab. Bless those nerds who know more about the shit than I do. These two upgrade systems aren't completely without their flaws. First of all, given that there are just so many race types in this game and so many cars being viable in multiple classes, it would be nice to be able to tell what kind of car you're going for when you click auto upgrade. The same problem is true with the player-made configurations. The most you're able to do is check the car's stats before you commit, but even then I still don't think it gives you enough information. The frustrations that many people are going to have with the system is compounded by the fact that once you do download someone's setup, you can't make any changes to it. You can't even check what the values are for each setting. So if you really like a setup, but say don't like its gear ratio or think you could use a bit more aero, sucks to be you. Damn, how far have I gotten into this racing game review without talking about the racing? Now, after everything you've heard and seen so far, this shouldn't come as much of a surprise, but the racing is really fun. There's tons of courses, and like I said, there's several disciplines. This means that you can keep switching things up if you start getting bored. Though if you do keep winning, the game will gently suggest that you increase the difficulty, offering you more credits as motivation. I did feel a noticeable difference in the skill of the NPC races going through each difficulty level, though I did have something happen over and over, and I gotta say, I smell shenanigans. More times than I can count, I passed the leading car on the final straight or in the last couple corners and won the race. I mean, this happens so many times, it can't be a coincidence. Horizon 5 seems to have this weird reverse rubber banding, where if the game senses you're about to lose, it'll just straight up slam brakes on the lead car. I don't know if it was just me who experienced this, but come on, Playground, way to make my wins feel hollow. So, we've spoken about most of what makes this game tick. The question now is, how's it with other players around? Well, I'd love to tell you that, but in the week that I played leading up to writing this review, I could not even once successfully connect to a multiplayer race. I mean, I was literally in a convoy with other players and... However, because the single player is so damn good, 5 minutes after the frustration of not getting into a race, I'm just giggling like an idiot sending it down a drag strip in my shitbox Volvo station wagon. So, this isn't a dreaded Error 37 problem, but it is still damn annoying. So I left this part to last because I'm not going to sugarcoat it, this game is dripping with cringe. And that's coming from me. The extreme bro culture in this game is almost nauseating, and it honestly doesn't help the fact that in Forza Horizon 5, Your character talks too.
I was doing my best not to think about it.
God, please just go back to being a mute. The conversations with NPCs are so wooden and awkward. There's not a single character that I like, and not a single conversation that didn't have me opening Instagram. This is especially bad as I just got off playing Riders Republic, which honestly has way better characters and voice acting than it has any right to. The game is bursting with charm, but the key here is that it also doesn't take itself too seriously. And I think that's where Horizon's tone frankly just fails. All the cheesiness and extreme bro culture in games like Riders Republic and even Dirt 5 are delivered with a little wink like, yeah, we know this is dumb, but we're having fun. And I respect that, but I never once felt that same level of self-awareness in Forza Horizon 5. The idea of starting an event where you dice a plane down a runway to end with a ramp, follow it for a couple kilometers only for it to open its cargo doors and drop 2 bikes to join the race. And in classic Forza fashion, that's obviously not where it ends, because a couple kilometers later the dude jumps off his bike and starts flying with a wingsuit. This all sounds awesome, but as soon as you add...
Wait, is that a wingsuit?
It almost completely kills the mood for me. It's the equivalent of Vin Diesel doing this shit and trying to claim that Fast and Furious is still a racing movie.
I said forget about it, cuz.
It's in this festival atmosphere with the thumping dance music and the radio DJs that I think Horizon has gone too far in trying to differentiate itself from more simulation titles. Like I said before, there are multiple areas in this game where this arcadey approach really shines, but I feel like the actual setting of the festival, I don't know, I think we could have come up with something better than this, but at the end of the day, you can skip the cutscenes and you can turn off the radio announcers, so it's not really that bad. Forza Horizon 5 is more Forza Horizon. It doesn't do anything radically new, it doesn't rock the boat, and it doesn't really have anything to say, but it's more Forza Horizon. And as long as Playground keep putting this much love and attention into these games, we will always welcome a new Horizon game. And as I said at the front of this review, Horizon 5 is on Game Pass, so for literally $10 a month, you could play this game with absolutely no restrictions. And that's, I think, the thing that's most impressive about this package. Here's a brand spanking new live service game, it's a console seller, it's an institution of the Xbox library, and yet it's only $10 a month, and it really doesn't ask you to fork out anything more unnecessarily. So, while there is an argument that Game Pass may be hurting indie developers, it is fantastic for the consumer. So, go give Forza Horizon 5 a try. You literally have nothing to lose. And hey, every cent that goes back into Playground's pocket will fuel Fable 4. Hey, welcome to the end of the video. This is where I talk unscripted about the video that you just watched and the channel and such. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, sticking around to the end. Please leave a like and please subscribe, but also please leave a comment. The algorithm loves comments and I'll do anything to appease the algorithm. A big thank you to everyone who helped out on this week's video. It was a lot of fun to make. I really do love this game. It was super fun. Let me know if you'd like a short video covering the multiplayer when the server stabilized, because I still got a lot of this game left in me. I'm trying to release videos weekly, but I just don't seem to be able to hit that 7-day schedule, so please be patient. An upload is always coming, but it's generally going to take about 9 days. Hopefully, as I expand, I can release more content a little bit more frequently, but until then, I'm just pushing these out as fast as I can. Thank you so much for everything. See you all next time. Much love, and you all know this is just my opinion, right? Now, leave me alone. I'm going to go play Halo until my eyes bleed.